What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. How you feeling, my bro?
Man, another day in paradise, man.
Awesome, awesome. I got something for you though.
What's up?
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, yo, man.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Them joints
Yes,
look tough. Them
sir.
joints hitting.
That's why I say I gotta get your address,
Yeah,
bro.
them joints are tough,
I
yo.
got one for you. I got one for you, man.
Appreciate that, man. That joint is tough, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Check
Man,
that
that's what's
out.
up. You know, I
Shout out
like,
to
what's
Go
up?
ahead.
I was about to
That's
say,
it. Shout out to Paulina Caceres. She made the shirt for me, lady on my job.
okay.
Um, I feel bad because I tried to ask her. It was like so busy today because she has a whole page on Facebook
Okay.
with different things that she has to offer.
Yeah,
So
we'll definitely get her information and then we'll shout her out on the next
yeah,
on the next pod.
I'm gonna shoot her out. But yeah, that way you can wear yours next one.
Oh yeah, I'm a rock and represent,
Yeah, I
man.
got some merch coming,
Hey
bruh.
man, we out here, man. Hey, today's
Sir,
Wednesday, man.
good Wednesday, man.
Good Wednesday.
I figured that'd be a good surprise for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, appreciate that. That looks real good, man. And shout out to Dana for coming up with the logo too, man.
Yeah, shout out to Dane. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Hey, so it's Wednesday, man. It's another Wednesday, another great conversation on deck. If you come in on live, we thank you so much for tuning in and being an avid listener. This is the Final Notice podcast. We are a live interacting podcast. We stream Sundays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Different topics, different conversation, but the mission is still the same. It's to learn, relearn, unlearn all the nonsense and the garbage that we've thought we was learning the right stuff and try to elevate to the next level, but elevate to the level of understanding that is given to you and to us through the spirit. Um, Today's conversation is a little bit different. We today as we know. Well, before we get into that, man, what's going on? I mean, how's your day, man? Today's Wednesday. What's going on? It's what Hump Day.
Hump day.
Yeah.
I'm cool, bro. Everything's good, man. I'm sticking to this exercising regiment, and it's body getting used to it, but at the same time I feel good. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy. Can't wait for the results. And yeah, I'm good, bro. Everything's cool, man. Things looking happy and better these days.
Yeah, that's
How about
wonderful.
yourself? How's everything on your end down there in the A, baby?
Man, listen, man. Atlanta's Atlanta, man. I witnessed a crazy accident this morning on my way to work, man. I hope they were okay. I didn't even get the chance to stop. But they terrible drivers, man.
Really?
There's so much of a terrible drivers down here that the insurance is stupid high because of the car break-ins and accidents. Atlanta
Mhm.
is the worst place to own a vehicle at, if you ask me. Especially if you live
Wow.
around in the city. You probably better off moving out to the suburbs somewhere. But Atlanta, people in Atlanta, I hope y'all take offense to this. Y'all the worst drivers. And I thought Virginia people were worse. You guys are the worst drivers in the United States.
My rule of thumb was always never get behind people with Subarus, people who got Pennsylvania tags, and especially Subarus with Pennsylvania tags.
Oh, hold on. Why Subarus there? What's wrong with Subarus?
I just them little family wholesome cars, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? They don't,
Lord.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man,
Usually the
Subaru.
soccer moms and
Man,
stuff
you
have,
remember
so
you
they
remember
don't take.
Crocodile Dundee? Crocodile
Yeah,
Dundee was driving a Subaru, man.
that's even worse. He don't belong in the city driving either.
Hey man, I ain't fooling with you, man. I like Crocodile Dundee, man. That's my
Yeah, that's
guy.
my man. That's not a knife. This is enough. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
That's my
man.
man. But he
Uh,
don't belong driving no Subaru in the city.
oh man, not in the city.
I'll respectfully go around you.
Hey man. Yeah, man. So I witnessed a bad accident, man. It was raining this morning, and the dude, whoever was the dude in a SUV, um,
Mm,
the light was turning yellow, so caution. But the other driver was like debating. So they was speeding up because I went through the light on the left side. So
mm-hmm,
he was debating, and then the last minute he slammed on his brakes. When he slammed on his brakes, all he was like, I looked to
mm,
my right, and I saw it coming because the way he was going and the way she sped up and then slowed down at the last minute, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was
mm.
going to happen. So I
Man,
always
prayers
tell
out.
drivers, man, if you driving, if you hesitate, don't take it. If
Yeah,
you,
prayers out to them.
yeah,
You
man.
know.
So if you driving, don't hesitate because that hesitation to get you in a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
But
Absolutely.
anyways, We hope everybody's doing good. Get your popcorn. Get your favorite spot on your couch ready. If you in your room, get your bed ready. If you in your office, sit down and get comfortable. Today's conversation, man. We are streaming live on YouTube on Final Notice Podcast and also on Facebook. We are live on Final Notice Podcast on Facebook as well. But today's conversation is very interesting, man. It's a good conversation. I feel like it's a good conversation because there's a lot of us believers that don't even know how to even begin the process for this part of our walk in ministry or in the fellowship of Christ. And it's very important because the way you ask for something is the same way you will get the result for that thing that you're asking or seeking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll get this thing rolling.
What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, this is Aaron. I'm glad, first time viewers or first and last time listeners, appreciate you for coming out. Thank you for tuning in and allowing us to have this moment with you. I pray that you are truly blessed and that the word that you receive tonight will actually help you grow and gain something from it. So, with that said, that banner, you put that banner up because this is like pretty much the theme of what we are going to go off tonight. You know what I'm saying? We're going to base this conversation around.
Mm-hmm.
Exodus 34:14. You must worship no other gods. That's little g, not big G, because there's only one big G.
Mm-hmm.
You must worship no other gods. And that God can be money. That God can be your phone. That God can be a tablet. That God can be your job. That God can be that new car that you just got. That God can be so many things. That's why it's a little g. For the Lord, whose very name is jealous. Now he's letting you know that his name is jealous. His name is jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Is a God who is jealous about his relationship with you. And that's in the New Living Translation of the word. So with that being said, how this came to me was like, us, anybody that's a parent out there who have had parents, we all knew that we couldn't go and approach our parents any old kind of way, right? You can't say, hey, daddy, give me this juice. Daddy, I want some cookie. Can I have some money? That whole thing we have to be mindful of even how we approach God. Now, when you're talking about obtaining favor, there's really nothing that we do specifically or make it seem like that we're that special. I think that's one of the things where a lot of believers and churches have taught believers how to go wrong because they make you think that God is like a barter system. You feel what I'm saying? Like you have to do certain things in order to really get this. No, we really don't do anything other than just being obedient to the word and being doers of the word. Well, that aligns us and gives us access to that favor. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it also has a lot to do with the mentality that we bring to the table. So to get back to that, example, you know what I'm saying? You like people we want answers from God. People be asking God for a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go and talk to a sovereign, almighty being any old kind of way. Because our nature, our very being is sinful. You know what I'm saying? And his nature is holy, is sovereign. And most of the times, our sinful nature and our sinful ways, we can't even stand in his presence. You know what I'm saying? We can't even be in contact or in tune with that while we stand in his presence. So think about it. If you go to a being that's holy and that's sovereign, and you walk up to him or you kneel before him, and that's something that we really need to get back to, kneeling before him. You know what I'm saying? If we kneel before him, you know what I'm saying, and we asking for things, that's all it is, just things. Whether it's peace, whether it's joy, whether it's healing, we asking for something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We just can't go any old kind of way. So I just wanted to get that, like, set the mind state that we need to have, as we continue this conversation.
And for those who are tuning in again, welcome to the Final Notice Podcast, man. It's a live interacting podcast. So if you have any comments, questions, we'll definitely answer those questions for you. We'll definitely read your comments. We'll try to at least get to every last one of them. And it is important for you to understand that, you know, where we're coming from is from a good mindset and a good heart, because we don't know it all, nor do we claim to know it all. We're coming
Absolutely.
together to learn so that way we can elevate each other to the to where God has called us to be. Um,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
today's topic is a very interesting topic because I feel like there's a lot of us who are believers who know what we want, right? We
Mm-hmm.
know we know we want something from God, but we just don't know how to ask God for it. And in
Right.
order for you to be able to tap into that realm of favor, there's a level of humility.
Yes.
There's a
Yes.
level of respect. There's a level of your walk with Christ that you have to be. Because I remember, take myself for an example. I remember when I was younger, I wanted this job so bad, right? My boy was the recruiter, and he prepped me up, told me how to dress. He said, "Man, wear this, wear that." And I went to the interview. The one thing that he didn't prep me for was that it was going to be a panel interview. So it was like 4 people, and then this was for a job for NASA. So it was a big deal job for a person in an immature age that I was at, right? So I get to the job, and they, first of all, I'm shocked because I've never been in a panel interview before. So they rapid question, rapid question, rapid question. So big long story short, I waited for weeks. They told me they loved my personality, they loved the energy. I'm like, cool, I got this in the job. They be talking about 2010. They were starting off the job at $70,000. I have
Mm.
I have no type of education at that time to even say, well, you know what? I got this job in the bag. No. So
Mm-hmm.
I was taking a shower. Weeks had gone by. I didn't text my homeboy like, yo, you thought I was in. You said I was strict. You know, I was good. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? He said, look, they have not filled that role, because once the role gets filled, they will let me know for me to stop interviewing or sending them people, right?
Right. Right.
So I'm taking a shower one day. My mind is off of it now. At this point, it's been weeks. I get a call. He said, man, yo, bro, they ain't give you the job, man. They went with somebody else. I said, well, what happened? He said, man, they loved you. They still talking about you, but they said you were too eager for the job,
Mm.
and it showed your level of immaturity. Because the job, what I was going to be doing, I was going to be delivering like $1 million computer parts for the spaceships for NASA down there in Greenbelt, Maryland. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that this God, why didn't I get the job? Why? But I was immature. So now imagine had they given me that job, and I'm telling you, at that time I was super immature, mentally, physically. I was not where I'm at right now. I would have probably either cost them some money, or I would have been fired the minute I got the job, because it was a
Absolutely.
sensitive. So that tells you that it's not because the favor, I wasn't prepared for that favor. I
Right.
wasn't prepared for what I was even looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
preparation for you receiving a favor from God is very, very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, when you take it from the standpoint of being responsible, it's one thing I saying, like, you know, if somebody hired you to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company right now, I
Mhm,
would learn that understand the responsibilities, knowing what you can't do. You
mhm,
know, it's the same concept. You get in there, you don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna run that thing right in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So what's the use of getting it? And then not only you, but it's other people's livelihoods and things like that you putting at risk. So you know, but to speak on the humility factor, right? When
mhm,
I was younger, I used to hear someone say to me, "It's like, you know, rich people got, you know, how much would the Bible say? How much of a chance a rich person got to get in heaven? You know, like a camel going through the eye of a needle. That's almost impossible." But I understand, like, you know, with the mindset and the oppressive mindset of growing up in the area where we grew up in, you know what I'm saying? You would actually think that a camel cannot possibly go through the eye of a needle, like a
mhm,
sewing needle, right?
mhm,
And but when you get older, like you said, you got to study to show yourself approved. We start studying that the eye of a needle was actually the entrance way of a gate in a city. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying, in the Bible. And the only way that that camel could go through that city is if it got down on its belly and
mhm,
crawled through that. You know what I'm saying? Like
mhm,
you have to get low. So that was a illustration, an example of saying how, you know, we have to stay. humble. We have
Mhm.
to live in a state of humility. You know what I'm saying? We got to stay on our knees. We got to continuously pray about certain things so that we can receive those blessings that we want to, that we need, man.
Mhm. So let me ask you this: for somebody that's been struggling with this for a while, right? What is the first steps? Like, what would you? What is favor? Like, because I feel like before we even ask or before we talk about favor, you must understand what favor is. So, what is favor? When you saying not favor from human being side, because I know. Let me do you a favor. I'll do you a favor. We know what that favor is.
Right,
What is
right,
the
right.
difference between man's favor and God's favor? Like, what is the difference, Aaron?
To my belief, my understanding is that it's something that we don't even ask for. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that's given to us.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's not something that we earn. It's not something that he's just giving us. Like we're given grace and mercy every single day that we're waking up. You know, that favor is part of that mercy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people think that they are blessed, you know, and they think they rich, they think they got it. They think, you know what I'm saying, like just because they're doing certain things that, oh, I got this. Like truth be told, a lot of us just really living off of mercy, which is a different thing. The favor is basically just like that God extending some kind of mercy towards us. And like you said, looking beyond our faults and meeting needs. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much how I understand it from my life. You know, we don't do nothing to get it, but there's absolutely certain things that you can do to access it and maintain it. Because how I look at it is like, you know what I'm saying? Like God's favor is like an umbrella, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're getting rained on, like you said, hide me under the shadow of the Almighty. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? When we getting rained on and that rain is coming down, that umbrella is stopping it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like if we not touching, that's God covering us. But
Mm-hmm.
when we come from underneath that covering, you know what I'm saying? We subject to experience whatever. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? We can anything that do is like, and that's why, like I said, I don't. The Bible said don't. What do you say? Don't tempt the Holy Spirit or don't press. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to do that. Like in certain places you're only going to really see me go because I don't want to test that theory thinking saying, oh, I could just go anywhere and I could just be blessed. Or I'm going to go anywhere and I'm going to be covered with favor. That it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I can like, yeah, here's a chance that he can cover me as a believer and I'm gonna be cool. But at the same time, why would I put my Holy Spirit in a position like that to try to do something like that? You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
go to a club and because that club, like I said, is a part of the world, is not from my father, you know what I'm saying? I'm subject, anything happen, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you a quick story. Like one night, you know, we was down on like it was on my birthday. We was at Coppin, and there was a couple of guys cool with, you know what I'm saying? We was drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we went down to Old Hammerjacks, right there on Guilford. Now, anybody in Baltimore knows Guilford is right down the street from North Avenue. You go straight up Guilford, hit North Avenue, and then go back across to go to Coppin. It was four of us. All of us were so drunk, we didn't know how to get back to Coppin. We ended up wrapping the car around a green pole with the transformer on it,
Mm-hmm.
and the car got bent up, and we was in Cherry Hill, bro. We didn't know how to get back. You know what I'm saying? Now, God favor kept me from dying, but because I put myself in that situation of drinking and this and the other, I still wasn't able to avoid that accident. And
Mm-hmm.
Lord, I had a concussion and everything. I didn't know it because I didn't know what a concussion was. I stayed in the dark room, you know what I'm saying, the noise and everything. Like I stayed in there for like a week, bro. And then, you know, me calling myself being loyal, dude was like, man, don't call the police. Don't do this, that, and the other. Oh, my car insurance, this, that, and the other. Like years later, when I talked to the other guys, he said, man, I went to the hospital the next day. We all kept saying, nah, we ain't gonna go. But man, he said, man, I went to the hospital that night. I ain't give a care. I ain't care what he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? But that favor kept me from dying. And when
Mm-hmm.
the police got there, the police was like, man, I ain't never seen nobody walk away from this. He said they called their the whole part of the car, all the way up to like where the steering wheel was wrapped around this green pole.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the favor of God. Like it, but I still subjected myself to that.
You know what I was told that God do favor. I was told by this preacher that God do favor more people than others. Is that true?
I wouldn't know. I ain't God, bro. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's what I was told when I was young, when I was coming up, that not everybody receives that favor from God. Not everybody has that favor, and that's what I was told. And it could be true. It could be a lie. If you are somebody that is, whether you in the ministry heavy and you know the answer to that, please, send us that message. If you want to comment, you can comment on it now and let us know. But I know that the favor of God is different from then you saying that I got blessed. That's the difference between that favor and then it's a blessing.
That's right.
And one of the favors that I can share is that I remember going through when I went through Alabama, right? When I got in trouble in Alabama. And I remember as we were getting ready to get sentenced or whatever, and we had to take our plea deals or whatever it may be. And I remember before that happened, this is when I knew that God had really a special plan for me. I wasn't worried about how long I was going to be sitting. I wasn't worried about that part. What I was worried about was me coming back into the free world. Like, what was I going to be doing? Because here I am, 20-some years old, right? I have to hit the reset button, and I'm like 28, 29. I'm just not getting locked up. You dig what I'm saying?
No, my reset happened at 28 too, bro.
You get what I'm saying? And I had to hit the reset button of my life all over. I lost everything that I had, right? Everything that worldly possessions that I had. I even lost my wife to that situation. And then here I am trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. And then my bond is $1.5 million. It went from $1 million to $1.5 million, right? And my lawyer would come and see me, and he was like, "Well, man, this judge, she's really tough, man. She's really tough." And here I am. I've been praying and fasting. I'm like, God, grant me your favor. Grant me your favor. I need your favor, Lord. I need your favor. I need your favor. And every time this fool will come see me, he's always bringing me bad news. Every time this lawyer will come see me, I said, "Hey, man, I'm not paying you to bring me bad news, man." I said, "Whatever bad news you got, keep it to yourself, because you are messing with my fasting and my prayers. I can't have you do this, because I know where my mindset is going. I know where spiritually how inclined I am to the Lord. But every time you come talk to me, you bringing negativity to me, and I can't have you. If you can't deal with this case based off your negativity, just move yourself from the case." Right? And he said, "All right, I'm gonna try to file a motion for you to see if they can reduce your bond. But I'm telling you right now, she's going to tell you no." I'm like, "Man, you go and let the Lord do what he got to do." Just like that, Aaron. And I went back into my cell. Next day, I get a visit. He said, "Hey, man, she approved the initial first bond reduction." I said, "Okay." I said, "We'll go." I said, "In another two weeks, we'll go back again." 2 weeks later, he went. She reduced it again. So, make long story short, right? When we went to go to get sentenced and finally go, take our plea deals or whatever. And shout out to Judge Katrina Ross out there in Birmingham, Alabama. This lady said something. She said, "It's something about your name." She said, "It is something about your name that I love your name." She said, "What is a young man like yourself doing in my courtroom?" That's favor. That is the favor of the Lord. It's not a blessing. A blessing is you walking around and you broke. You don't have no money. You done paid your last bill. You don't know how your kids gonna eat. And here's somebody come out there and say, "Hey, man, look, man, I bought something. I had extra change in my pocket, man, and my spirit is telling me to give this to you." That's a blessing. What that woman said was, "It is something about your name that I just love your name." That is the favor of the Lord. So when she said that, she said, "It's another thing I want to tell you, young man." She said, you better believe that you need to be thanking God, because I don't believe in sending black men to prison for their first time offense.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? So when we talk about tapping into that realm of favor from the Lord, it's a whole different. And yes, I got my favor through the time where I'm locked up or I'm facing time and all of this good stuff, right? So yes, I had the time to be able to give God that attention. So for God to give me that attention, all my attention, all my focus was on the Lord, right? And the Bible said that those that put their trust in the Lord shall never be put to shame or be disappointed, right?
Right.
So I had that time. I had to humble myself. I had no choice. I've been running away from God for so long, but I was running in circles right in front of him. And God said he was going to get tired one day, and he's just going to say, God, I give up, which I did. I ran, and I said, God, I give up. So when that favor came, it wasn't something that I did. It was the answering of my prayer that God gave me that favor. He granted me that favor. And the funny thing is that anybody that hear about my situation is like, oh yeah, you must have told. And then I have to tell them, go ahead and get the court transcript. You get what I'm saying? Because it's so hard for anybody to believe that. But I can understand as to why you can have a hard time to believe, because I have a hard time believing it. Because I never thought that I would ever receive the favor of the Lord like that, where she would tell me, oh, I'm going to give you a chance because of your name. Not because it's your first time, because your name is just so interesting to me.
Wow. Yeah, man. That's usually how it goes, man. Not to say we've done anything to obtain it or get it, but at the same time, like you said, your heart, your mind, your humility, you lined them up. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why the scripture is on there is because oftentimes when we're asking for things, like we have to be careful, because like you said, when we as believers are asking God for favor, or we're asking God for blessings, or we're asking God for things, we have to make sure that we are not allowing that to now become our God. For instance, you said most people don't have money. We looking for favor to get jobs. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes God closes them doors because God will know that, hey, if I give you this job, you're gonna spend more time on this job than you do with me. So when you're asking for things, and we say the heart is deceitful. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be careful about the things that we that we are asking for, so that we don't, what I'm saying, our hearts is very deceitful. So we can sit back and say, I want a job. But what I'm saying, that job, if that job is going to take God's place, now think about it. If he's a jealous God, right? And we all know how we get when we're jealous about certain things. And it just put us in real life perspective, because how is it you asking God for something, right? And then you turn around and the very thing that he give you, you know what I'm saying? Now you turn around and that becomes your God. I noticed that you put something on Facebook the other day, right? Like, why is it that people always get more excited about the creation as opposed to the creator? You know what I'm saying? But that speaks on that scripture right there. We got to make sure that we're keeping him in his proper place, that we don't lose that focus.
And another thing I would say is that don't go into any situation answering for God before God answers you.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of us believers, the one mistake that we make is we respond. We ask God something, and we already have a response, and we say, well, you know what, God, I know this is what you want me to do. What's the point of you asking a question if you already know what you?
Talk about it, brother.
You get what I'm saying? I know it's a lot, because I used to be like that. I used to be like the person where, man, they call you up for this job, man. And so if you come to find out this podcast, everything that we say is 99.9% of the time is a straight testimony, and we don't use other people as an example. We use ourselves as an example, right? So I had this job, right, and I was making, I think, $17 an hour. And this is back in maybe like 07, 08. So this is back, right? And I remember I got a job offer for $18.50, right? So I called my older brother and I'm like, yo, Rick, man, I just got this job offer, man. I'm about to take this job. He said, okay. He said, but why are you taking the job? I said, well, they're about to pay me $1 and some change more. He said, well, pray about it. So I went to God, Lord, man, I need this job. It's making $18, $18.50. I'm getting like $1.50 more. Lord, I know this is a blessing. I know you want me to take this job. So guess what I did? I called my brother the next day, and I said, hey, man, I prayed, and my spirit is, listen to this now. I said, my spirit is telling me that God wants me to take this job. So I took the job.
Right.
I gave the 2 week notice in, and I went and took the job. Aaron, my first 72 hours at the job, I quit.
But your spirit was telling you that.
The flesh was telling me yes, but the spirit never responded to what I asked God for. I was quick to respond before waiting for God's response.
That's absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I'll give you an example of that in the Bible. I forgot the scripture, but David had gone to war. King David had gone to war, and when he came back, all their worldly possessions and stuff, the women and everything had been taken captive. Right
Right.
before he pursued his enemies, he asked God, and I thought it was very interesting because if I came home and somebody robbed my house, and I know that the people are around the corner, I'm going to shoot, get in the car, and follow them to get my stuff back, right? But the Bible said David prayed and asked God and said, God, should I run after my enemies?
Yep. Should I go after them? Should I pursue them? Yes, sir.
Yes. And the Bible said the response of the Lord came to David. And it said how long it took for the response to come. So when people preach on they speak about that particular passage in the Bible, they made it seem like instantly. It doesn't happen instantly all the time. But the Bible said God told him, yes, pursue them, you will overtake them and receive your blessings, your stuff that have been taken away from your possession, right?
Right.
But he asked, and he was a great king. But even the great king asked for permission to pursue. He didn't go with his own mindset. I'm great King David. I can go and do everything. He asked. And I think a lot of us as believers, sometimes we go to God knowing that we want this, but we already had an answer. We've already answered God before asking the question. And yet we asked God the question anyway. God wanted me to, especially married couple. And it falls mostly on the women most of the time. Women will go find a man because, man, it takes us a little bit long time for us to fully mature. And we'll go ask the man, God, this is the man that I love. You know, he's a great man. He's 6'5", 6'6". He's a build. He's in good shape. You know, he's handsome. He's this. But this man is an abusive man. He's an abusive man. But you go praying for this man that you so-called want and said, God, this is the man that you sent me. This is not the God. This is not the man God is sending you because God wants to send you a man to beat on you.
All right, so hold up. Let's take a pin on that because I want to jump on that. All right, I want to go in great detail on that because I love that you brought that up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to say was, man, you threw me off. You threw me off a little bit, but it's cool. But I'm gonna jump on this comment. There was something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember. But we had a comment right here. It says, how do you know it's the spirit? You want to take that one, or I let me get it?
How do I know if it's the spirit in regards to the voice of the Lord, or I mean, I'm trying to get it. Do you think that's what she's asking, Tyrese? What's going on, Tyrese? That's a great friend of mine.
Yeah, like when you said you got to know that the spirit that's responding to what you're saying, and not just you. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know it's the spirit and not you?
As a believer, right? When you go before God, right? When you humble yourself, right? The spirit doesn't speak louder than you as the human being. Okay? The spirit is a very soft-spoken voice. With my anticipation of me wanting this job, the spirit that spoke to me was my brother. My brother said, think about it. He said, why? He said, why would you want to leave this job? Because they're paying you $1 more? Think about it. If it was not the spirit, my brother, if my brother saying that to me wasn't the spirit using him to speak to me, he would have been like, oh, go get that job. Which most of us, we do to our friends all the time. We do it to ourselves and we do it to our friends and family members. We even do it in the congregation. Some pastors, these false preachers and pastors, they do it to the congregation members all the time.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you said that. That's what I was going to say. Be careful. Please be careful. Be attentive. You have to have your antennas up. When we're sitting in these services or we're watching these preachers and they're speaking and then they're saying, I feel like God is saying.
God ain't saying nothing.
No, I don't want you to feel nothing what God is saying. If you spend time with God and you meditated with God and you spend time with him, you should know exactly what he's saying. Don't tell me what you think you feel like he's saying. That's a whole nother different thing. And then people get caught up in it because they're not paying that no mind. Oh, I feel like God is saying, I feel like this. You feel like God telling 50 people in here give $100. I
Mhm.
don't nah. Tell me what he said,
Mhm.
and then tell me what he said about the rest of the people.
So don't. So when we saying is, uh, you have to look at the situation, and when you go before God asking for any type of direction, if you're looking for that favor from the Lord, if you're saying, God, man, I've been struggling all my life and I need that breakthrough. I need that financial stability. I need that family orientation. I need my kids to be more respectful. I need this. I need that. You first, in order for you to get to that need, you must first work on yourself in humility. You cannot just go to God and say, God, I know you said that. He know his own words. He said, I respect my name as I respect my word. I respect my words as I respect my name. Therefore, he know what he's already said. The book of Isaiah said, my word shall not return back to me void. It shall go out and complete what it was sent out for. So he already knows what his word is, right? But you are approaching him, asking him for a favor, asking him for direction. You cannot go in there with your own answer to what you're asking. It defeats the whole purpose. And what I was saying about the women, I'm not picking on the women because most of the time it happens to the women's side, right? When you go into these situations saying that the Lord said that this is the man for me, and I'm telling you, God will not send nothing that will destroy you, that will break you down. That is not how God operates. But because we operate out of flesh and lust, we said, this is the right man for me. When this is the man that is going to beat on you, cheat on you, he's going to even treat, he's going to dog you, he's going to come home smelling like the bottom of somebody's shoe because he's going to be sitting at the bar all night long. But you said you prayed about this man, and this is what God told you to go with. That's not true. That is your own personal response to a question that you ask God and the direction you ask God. And therefore you went there, you said, God, this is the man that you chosen.
All right, well, since you pressing it in your spirit, I'm gonna jump on this real quick. So was it Tyrese, right?
Yeah, Tyrese.
So I'm gonna respond. How do you know it's the spirit? My answer lines up with Sandra's answer when Sandra says it lines up with God's word, just like how you said, right? So God is never going to respond outside of his word. God's voice and God's confirmations is always going to be in line with his word. I gave a testimony about me growing, like I was started agonizing at this church that I was in. You know what I'm saying? I was agonizing. I knew that I was around a bunch of like immature. The things that was happening was immature, but then he told me I had to, like, the wheat had to grow with the tares. And then when the wheat matured, then you cut the wheat off. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you cut it off prematurely, then, you know what I'm saying, you might cut the wheat off prematurely. So sometimes, like you said, like when he answered me and when it was time for me to leave, that was the Bible scripture that he gave me in my spirit to let me know, yeah, it's time to go. You mature to a certain point now. You can move beyond this and you can leave. But from my experiences, like every time I asked God for something and I was waiting on a response from him, he always responded with his word. Right? So to get to your topic, because there was another nugget that I wanted to give everybody, right? About, like, so a lot of times, and I'm not going to say women because men do it too.
Yeah, it's both ways.
Trust me, I'm guilty. The only reason I'm mad because I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I'm not picking on our women. I was just using it as an example, but men do the same thing
people
too.
Hear it, and you know, hey, it's just what it is. So I'm just laying it out there. I know you, Antoine. I know you're not attacking nobody, but I know sometimes people hear certain things and people hear what they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Some people just get offended for whatever reason, but I know you're not trying to offend anybody. That's why I just laugh. But also, I'm guilty of it myself, right? So anybody that has a desire to get married, I encourage them to read 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And I would encourage them to read Ephesians chapter 5, right? Those are the two scriptures I would encourage anybody to read. That's in, you know what I'm saying? Because oftentimes, like I said, even when we ask God for a husband or a wife, right? Because that seems like one of the main things, because he specifically was telling me about this. Like, people specifically be asking for husband and wives, but people don't understand when you ask for a husband or a wife. The reason why, to get a little controversial, I'm gonna go down your lane a little bit, you know what I'm saying? is a certain prominent church in Atlanta,
Mhm.
right? This bishop was being
Hold on.
accused of.
Hold on. If you're not gonna call the church name out, don't say this is a
Why
church.
not? I'm
Okay.
not gonna say it because he's passed away now. That's even the more reason
Okay.
why I'm not gonna say his name because he
Okay.
ain't even living. So I'm
Okay.
trying to put some respect on his name. That's
Okay.
your lane. Like I said, I'm a tiptoe down your lane. I ain't gonna go down your lane. I'm a tiptoe down that joint. All right.
Okay.
But there was a certain bishop
Mm,
who was accused of having sexual relationship with men.
mm,
Right. When you're a bishop in God's church, and then they like later came, they said him and his wife was about to file divorce. They said it wasn't the accusations and things like that. They said irreconcilable difference. And I was praying, say, God, how can a man of God, a man in the church, and his wife get a divorce because of irreconcilable differences? You know what I'm saying? It was weird. You know what I'm saying? But here's a kicker, right? In the Bible, like it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, as a married person, your first duty and your obligation is unto your husband and your wife. So it's very important. So, like you said, you don't even have a serious relationship with God. Your relationship is not even built in God, and you praying for God to give you a husband or a wife. Why would God give you something that now is going to, like, this first priority is for now your husband, your wife takes precedent over me? See, that's something that church don't preach. Like, you be in church with your kids and, you know what I'm saying? Because now this part I've seen more specifically with women, whereas though, like, every time the church door open, oh, I got to go to church. I got to go to church. We're dragging the kids on school night to church. We're going to Bible study. We're going to church. Meanwhile, the husband got comfortable, and the husband or they married men who wasn't really into God like that, right? And then the men sitting home watching basketball, the finals and stuff like that, the NBA finals or the playoffs, and you dragging outside and you ain't even cooked dinner before you leave. But then a lot of people get this misconception, and churches tell you this misconception that you're supposed to be in church, you're supposed to be serving God, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. And I think that's what happened with the bishop. Bro, your first duty and your obligations unto your wife, why are you overseas with a bunch of boys? You know what I'm saying? You got deacons and you got ministers, you got all these other things. Your job as a bishop is not to be hanging out on trips and going on vacation with a bunch of boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, your first duty and your obligations unto your husband and unto your wife. So why in the world are you sitting around, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you make it like you putting church over your husband now. Although the husband might not be into church or your wife might not be into church, you're out of order. And this has to be said because that's your first obligation according to the word of God. Now, what I do want to encourage you to say, that's the reason why when you read the rest of it and Ephesians, stuff like that, is imperative because it says your first obligation, your first duty as a single person is unto God. And this is the reason why I tell a lot of people you need to marry a man or a woman that understands their relationship and their role with God. It's very important for that because what's going to happen is there's not going to be no fall off, right? So if I, as a single man, am loving God, learning how to love God, being obedient to God, doing what He's told me to do, right? And that was the same thing you have to say Boaz was doing. And then you turn around and then you find a woman that's learning how to honor God and learning how to be a wife to God and doing the things like that. That's why it's important that when that union and that marriage happens, that there's no fall off because now your love for God and her honor for God is still going to be lined up with God. When they say the two shall become one, that one is God, not him and not her. So now we're both walking after the same thing. We both want the same thing. We're both going towards the same thing. And that's why all of that is so important. And God put that in there like that.
So
that's how I know ain't no man write that Bible though. But you know,
but and you know what though, and I'm glad you said this because the one thing that I feel like a lot of us as believers we fall into that the church rules. There's rules for the church, and I think that throws a lot of us off where we forget a lot of the things that we're supposed to be doing, and we are stuck on church. But you are the church. You are the temple. you yourself, if you haven't cleaned your temple, how can you go into a man-made temple to even clean that up? And that's why we have a lot of the disagreements and the things that is going, the nonsense that's going on in the church now, right? And if we talking about obtaining the favor of the Lord, I can personally say, without boasting and bragging, but boasting and bragging in the spirit of the Lord and humility of the Lord, right? I'm a favored person. The Lord has favored me in my life. I can honestly stand as a pillar of testimony to speak that without even blinking, without even, with a pure heart, that I know me personally, the Lord has favored me. Not because I'm special, not because I'm anything, because my heart that I have for people, God has favored me to show me that the places where people say I cannot go, if I call onto him, he will take me there. Right? And it wasn't because I listened to what other people were saying. No. I didn't need somebody to tell me to humble myself. The Lord himself humbled me. And I told you, and every time we get on here again, I don't talk about something that I have not experienced. When you talk, when you called me the other day and I said, yo, bro, what is your spirit saying we should give for this Wednesday? You said, how about the favor, obtaining the favor of the Lord? And I laughed within myself. I said, oh man, how would I be able to express this? And I told you, pastors have asked me to come and testify and give testimony at their church. And I've told them, I said,
powerful, man.
And I said, my testimonies are not for the church. It's not for a building. It's for the free world. It's for outside, right? I remember when I first came home and I had got a job at LL Bean, right? LL Bean out in Virginia. And I went there and I first time home, I'm fresh out of the box. Home, I have my son's about to be 2 years old. Dana done left me. I'm broke. I'm back to my mom. I was a cripple. I was sleeping. Let me give you a testimony. Let me tell you something. I was sleeping in my mama's house on the floor with one sheet of blanket with my son clutched to my arms. In my mother's house, I was sleeping on the floor. And I remember asking God, I said, God, I know you didn't let me come out this situation to be sleeping on the floor as a guest or as a dog in my own mother's house. You have a purpose for me. See, there's a difference when you talk about being blessed and being favored. There's a huge difference. But in order for you to tap into that favor from the Lord, you must really be humbled. Because it is something, it's like almost like an oil that the Lord wipes on your forehead, that anywhere you go, anything that you ask for, anything that you seek, when people say no, when you get there, they'll tell you yes. That is not a blessing, that is a favor, right? And I remember going to this job site and this people tell me, you know what? We got to let you go. After they didn't hire me, Aaron, I'm on the floor working. They say, you know, we don't have to walk. You have to leave. You got to leave now. Why? Because of my charges. I hadn't even took my plea deal yet, right? And I remember as I sat in the parking lot, I'm crying. I said, God, I need your favor. I cried in the car like a baby. When we talk about humility, when we talk about humbling, it's a different way of approach when you're looking for that favor. It's like when my son come to me and said, Daddy, I want to play football. I told him, no, I don't want you to play football. Why? Because I know there's concussion. I know you can get hurt. Even though I played and I watched the sport, I don't want my son playing. But when he came and cried and showed me that, Daddy, I can do this. Daddy, I'm going to learn the game. I said, okay. The way that he came to me the second time, I said, yes. It's the difference of humility and the humbleness that you must obtain in order for you to receive that favor. So it's not something that you just get up and say, oh, well, Lord, I need a favor. No. God don't favor everybody the same. He loves everybody the same, but it's a special, that favor is like a special privilege for your favorite child.
Yeah.
And you get what I'm saying? So when the children of Israel was crossing the River Jordan, when they got to the River Jordan and when Moses had passed away and they gave the staff to Joshua, the Bible said that God told Joshua, anywhere your feet may touch, your soul will touch the ground, you'll possess that land. That is a favor. That is the favor that God gave Joshua. Joshua, who was a nobody. Nobody knew Joshua. He was a nobody. So when you talk about obtaining that favor, it's a whole different level of praying. It's a whole different level of humbleness. It's a whole different level of being broken as a vessel. As the potter broke the vessel down, the Lord said, I can also do the same to rebuild you up. It's a whole different process.
Right. Yeah, that's why we got to stay low, man. We got to stay humble. If you actually read the book of Proverbs, the amount of times it mentions humility and being humble. And that's one of the reasons why I tell people, like, well, it's 31 days in a month, and there's 31 Psalms. I'm at 31 Proverbs. Today is the 26th. Read the 26 Proverbs. You say, meditate on my word. What? Day and night, right? So read it in the morning, read it at nighttime. You know what I'm saying? And you start living a different type of way. You'll start gaining that wisdom. Certain levels of humility will come about. You'll start understanding things differently. You know what I'm saying? And it'll open your mind up, and it'll open your heart up to start seeing life in a different way. So yeah, we need those things, bro. You're absolutely right.
So if you're watching, we talking about how to obtain the favor from the Lord, and it is not as easy as maybe it sounds. It is a whole different level of as a follower, as you walk with Christ. Is it possible to do it? Yes. With God, all things are made possible. Yeah. Very possible. But is it some levels that you have to get to? Yes. As Aaron, you said earlier, you said even some of the disciples didn't have direct access to what? To Christ. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a level, it's a level that you have to get to in order for you to tap into that realm where you are able to receive that favor from the Lord. And once you receive it, I'm telling you, there is nothing that will ever come before you that you won't get over. There is nothing that you ask of the Lord that he won't give you. It's a whole different level of blessing that you have to experience it for you to really understand it. You have to. It's a level that you have to experience in your walk with the ministry or in your walk with Christ, that once you receive that favor, I'm telling you, do you know how many times, Aaron, they told me no? Do you know how many times I'm a convicted felon, Aaron? I'm a convicted felon, but I'm the first person out of my household to build a house from the ground up to the way that I wanted to be built. That is a favor of the Lord. That is not something that I did anything about. I had nothing to do with it. I'm a convicted felon. I had nothing. 2014, I was pitch broke. I didn't have $1 to my name. When I came home, my friend Jermaine Spriggs bought my son clothes and told me to take it home and tell my son that I bought it for him.
Right.
The iPhone that I'm using now, that I'm using iPhone, it wasn't because I loved iPhone. Jermaine got me the phone, got me the service, got me the number. He said, you don't have to pay nothing. And I had nothing. But as I continue my walk, no matter how hard it was getting, I kept saying, God, I know you did not let me come out here to be like this. So it's a level that you have to get to where you really dive down within your soul to figure out, man, if you want something from God, if you want something from the president of the United States, you ain't just about to call him, hey, Joey, let me get $100. You ain't about to do that. When you guys were getting your stimulus checks, you didn't
money bag Joe. You
didn't call him and say, man, send me my money. Y'all was complaining, y'all was crying, we needed and everything. It was a level of humility. Even though after y'all got it, y'all went straight to the Snow Crabs and the Gucci store.
Hey, look,
get that. But before
a friend of mine worked for the Maryland State Department, and she'll tell you in a minute that they do call that way. They do call and ask about their money. Where my money at, man? They do call down and ask that. But like you said, but that's their pride and their ego. And they're not going to, and even if you're looking for somebody to give you customer service, you definitely ain't going to get what you're looking for calling somebody, especially on their job, asking stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you call Moneybag Joe and call the state and ask where your money at and act crazy if you want to. Your services ain't, and your needs ain't going to get met.
They're going to hang up the phone. They're going to hang up the phone quick. But look, Robin, our sister Robin has a
Shout
question.
out, Robin. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for
Thank you for
watching.
finally typing in your comments. I keep getting on you about that. I appreciate it.
She said, would you all say favor only comes with humbling experiences, or and all? I guess I'm guessing all other things are just blessings. So I'll take on to this one. So
yeah, go ahead.
Experiences. Now you can put that question. You can put that question back up. Her comment back up. So I would say this, Robin. Humbling experiences for a believer is something that is needed in your walk with ministry, because we all fall short of the glory, right? Remember when God told the children of Israel, He said, for every time, He said, when you turn yourself away from me, I will take my eyes off of you just for a little bit. When you come crying back to me, I'll remember to you guys that you're my people and I am your God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every time that the children of Israel started worshiping false idols and false gods, right? When they knew when they were in trouble and they were losing, they humbled and cried and went back to God. That is a level of experiencing through a humble situation. They had to humble themselves in order to go back, right? So then God will return back to them, right? So, when I walk in the ministry, because we all fall short of the glory, you have to experience something in order for you to say, you know what, I need to go back to my first love, which is God, right? So once you find that out, and once you figure that out, and you say, you know what, God, I've fallen short of the glory, I have to run back to you. Then things start becoming more available. Doors start becoming open. Things that were people saying you couldn't do it, you started to do it. So yes, I would say yes. Humbling experiences is a direct result of you being favored through your experience. Now, blessings, everybody can get blessing. You got blessed this morning. I got blessed this morning. But not everybody will receive blessings either. Everybody don't receive everything the same way. Your walk with Christ may be way different than my Christ. You might be on a different level where your blessings is just enormous. Me and you woke up. We was blessed this morning to wake up out of our beds and get up and do what we had to do. Somebody didn't get up this morning. So that should tell you that every second that we have is a blessing. Every second that we have is a blessing. We can't. It's people right now in ICU that if you take the breathing machine off their face, they're gone. But me and you right now, I'm over here yelling into the microphone. You over here typing to me. That's a blessing. But that favor is a whole different. It's a whole different thing.
I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say that favor only comes from humbling experiences. It's just like my man Twan said a while ago. Beanie Siegel got a line that said, "Get down and lay down."
Man,
right? Hey, look, I always lay down, bro. I don't need God to humble me. I don't need experiences to humble me. You know, there's a scripture, like I said, that's why I read Proverbs. The Proverbs is this proverb in the book of Proverbs, and this way it comes from wisdom, right? It says something to the degree of a wise man will see the danger and avoid it. You know, a fool will see it and walk right into it, just to paraphrase, right? Me, I've always been the type of person to be able to see certain things and realize I don't want to experience that. And even if I experience something, I try my best not to keep experiencing the same thing or keep going around the mulberry bush too many times about it. You know what I'm saying? Only one thing in the situation I've been stuck in for some years now that, you know, I kind of find myself in. But part of it I know is just disobedience, and that's just being real. See, your spiritual leaders ain't gonna tell you that, but I'm gonna tell you that. The only reason why I be stuck in certain situations is because I know I'm being disobedient. But you can humble yourself and realize how important being humble and living a life that's full of humility is, so that you don't have to experience being humble. I would much rather humble myself before I allow something to humble me. Because when something humbles me, that ain't the best experience in the world
at all.
And it always comes to a point where it feels like it's breaking, right? And then to answer the second part of the question, says all other things are blessings, right? We talked about it on the I want to say it was the last of the 2 pods ago. blessings ain't always what they seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were being set up for blessings through each one of these humbling experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I said, blessings actually is synonymous with pain.
Mm.
Mary considered herself blessed when she was pregnant with Jesus, but Mary also had to walk around being ridiculed in a time where, you got pregnant before marriage. But she considered herself blessed. We went over the Beatitudes, you know what I'm saying? Blessed are the meek, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are those who are being persecuted for my sake. None of that stuff sounds fun. None of that stuff sounds like it's cool. But we know that through our experience, we were being humbled and persecuted and all of those things like that for his sake. So those experiences, because we learned how to be, to get low and not be prideful when these attacks and these things happen, we learned somewhere down the line to humble ourselves and fall on our face. You know what I'm saying? And allow that humbling experience to do what it's supposed to do so that we can experience the blessing on the end part of it. You know what I'm saying? That's like I said before, you necessarily getting a new job or you hitting the lottery, and you can't say God gave you that number because God also says be careful of get rich quick schemes and all these other things. Like, nah, those are the examples that we talk about. Those aren't necessarily blessings. Your new job, your money, your new house, those aren't necessarily blessings. That's what the church, unfortunately, has taught people to think what blessings are. But for the simple fact that you are going through certain things, that means God chose you and that you are worthy enough to go through that particular thing so that you can receive the blessing. It's just that sometimes people use their pride and their ego to get through that and then want to just say, oh, it's God, and it has nothing to do with God. If that was the answer to your question.
No, that was a great answer. And I hope she took it away. I'm taking it. One person we can say in the Bible that was favored was Job. If you listen to the story about Job, Job was a favorite man because he was amongst the people in this city that he had the best of the best. He was favored, he was blessed, but when it came through his suffering, nobody wanted no parts of it. As a matter of fact, the same God that was blessing him, they was telling him to curse at him.
That's right.
So it's one of those things where you said you hard-headed. I was a fool.
Right.
I was a fool. The reason why I said I was a fool because I had people telling me don't do this, don't do that. I just was being I just was the one. Let me figure out the way that I want to figure it out. And I love that you said. I love what you said is that when you said me, I noticed when if I'd rather be humbled in my humility than to be humbled through my situation.
Y'all daggone right.
I was the opposite. I was the pure opposite. I wanted to be humbled through my situation. And through my situation, God calls everybody differently according to the way God has seen fit for our storyline in our lives, right? Everybody that was called to the ministry didn't come willingly. Some of them, like myself, came with rebellion. I was very rebellious. I wanted to do what I thought I wanted to do. But God had different plans. So when I said that I received favor from the Lord and I have favor from the Lord, is because based off of my past experience, for me to be where I am right now is beyond a blessing. It has to be a favor from the Lord. Because what he's doing is showing me that no matter where you have gone, no matter what you have done, I can get you to these places if you humble yourself enough for me to do for you. Right. So it's the difference. So I don't want me giving you my testimony or saying my testimony to give people the idea that, oh, you have to go through a negative situation for you to be favored. No, you can be just like Aaron and not be straight humble and still receive the favor. You don't want to go the way that I went through, because I remember my mom used to always tell me, she said, Jojo, I said, yeah, Mom. I remember when I first came home from immigration, right? And that was the first time I experienced the power of the Lord. When I say the power of the Lord, I mean when I experienced that when you make time for God, God will make time for you, right? That was my first time experiencing that. And I remember my mom said she was fasting. I was in immigration for 5 to 6 months. right? Not because I didn't have my green card. For those who are watching, I had a green card, but because of the crime that I committed, they were trying to take my green card away from me. So I was fighting to keep my status. And I remember my mom went through the whole deal with me. My mom, shout out to Grace. Grace is one of the best moms you can possibly ask for in this world. And I
Shout out
remember,
to Miss Grace.
and I remember she saying that she was asking God for a message to give me when I come home. And the message that my mom gave me was, I've been fasting for 6 months for you. And this is the message that God has given me when you get to this door. And as soon as I got home from immigration, she didn't give me a glass of water or food to eat. She sat me down in the couch and said, this is the message that God wants me to give you. She said, find him, do his will, obey to him, or the way that you will find him, you will regret it. And mind you, my mom, if I know anything about the scriptures, not because I picked up the book myself, my mom is my teacher when it comes to the scripture, right? And when she gave me this message, here I am thinking that, oh, I'm home now. I've already been going through the camp with God, because now I have experienced the power of the Lord. So I thought I knew it all. But when my mom said that, she said, find him, do his will, obey him, right? Or the way that you will find him, you will not like it. Aaron, it didn't take not even 2 years. A year and a half later, I was in Alabama facing 6 to 20 years.
Right.
I was told to find him. I didn't find him. I was told to obey him. I didn't obey him. I was told to do his will. I didn't do him. The way that I found God was because I was facing 6 to 20 years. So the way that I found God, the way that I received my favor is going to be totally different than the way that you receive your favor. Some people try to buy their favor. Fake prophets, fake preachers, fake pastors, fake deacons, fake.
Oh my God, you touching on something now, boy.
You dig what I'm saying?
Because a lot of them, they tell you what, give to your man and God, this, that, and the other. Let them pour out a blessing on you or pray over you. Like, what you mean? Like, what's this? The psychic? This name is Cleo.
Right. Some of them even try to buy that favor. Because if you have the favor of the Lord, if you have the true favor of the Lord, you can cast out demons and won't have to receive $1 for it. You can continue the ministry and not have to receive $1 for it, because God, who called you to the ministry, will provide the ministry to be able to sustain. What he said in the book of Revelation, he said, I will build my church and hell cannot overtake it.
He said, I will perfect those things which concerneth me. He's going to perfect the things that concerns me. So if your church, first of all, if he gave you something, you best believe you're going to make provisions for it, first of all. So that means for these leaders out here that's worrying about the bills getting paid and this, that, and the other, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's no way you should be worrying about trying to get money from people more so than you trying to obtain favor from God. And not only that, if you teach the people something, you know what I'm saying, teach them how to fish. Like you said, I'll make you a fisherman of men. You teach people how to fish, you'll see you'll get the reward back in itself. And that doesn't mean you prostitute people and take advantage of them either. But it was something that you said in your testimony. I got a homeboy, I call him G Money. That's my man's, you know what I'm saying, like a brother to me. I pray to God he's listening to this. That's what my spirit said, when it cried out. When you start telling your testimony just now, my spirit was crying out. And I hope to God he hear this, man, one day. Because he was like, for far as I'm concerned, he was one of them type of people too, whereas though it's like, if you telling him he couldn't do something, he would go out his way to prove to you that he could. And oftentimes, I don't know if he would admit this or that, but he ran into some real hard situations. And I just pray that he learns that, you know, and hears this and know that is an easier and a better way. You don't have to work hard your whole life. And that's something I've been trying to tell him, as opposed to trying to get things the hard way and this, that, and the other. But there's a way that, like, if God do it, he says, take upon my yoke, for it's easy to bear. You don't have to work hard to try to get it. You know what I'm saying? He's just going to pour it on you. You're going to get that. You know what I'm saying? Just by being in alignment with him, you know? And Sandra comments, says some things come only by fasting and praying. I was trying to look it up. If I'm not mistaken, it says this power, this kind of power. See, when you're talking about fasting and praying, you're talking about power now. And that power right there, that dunamis, that exousia power, that power to move some things and get something shaking and moving, that's a whole nother level right there. But it's like you said, it's levels to this.
Mhm.
That comes with power.
So, man, I know we over time, but you know, when the spirit of the Lord works, it works. When it's genuine spirit of the Lord, when it works, it works. Because there's
Yeah.
power in the time that God has set aside for all things to be done. Again, this is
Yeah,
the
you ain't
final
gotta
notice.
worry about me cussing you out, man, and telling you why you leaving. The spirit of God is moving.
Man,
Don't touch my stuff.
and let me tell you guys
I ain't
something,
gonna do
man.
you like that, bro.
Let me tell you guys something, man. If you are in the church home and your spirit tells you it's not right, it is not right, leave. The Holy Spirit will not direct you wrong. You guys are
Right.
sitting in these churches, and these churches are polluted. They are rotten. And those churches will be all cut down. I'm not cussing, I'm not cursing anybody. I'm just giving you the pure truth. Seek your own justice for your soul. Find your own righteousness, find your own path of righteousness. It is better for you to go to hell, that you chose that path to go to hell, than for you to let somebody lead you there.
Yep.
It
Yep.
is better for you to me. And I say this to me all the time. I said,
Hey,
before I follow somebody to go to hell, I will walk myself there myself.
you got that right.
So don't sit in these churches.
Hey, look, I'm
Yo,
gonna get there on my terms. I
I'm
ain't get there
telling
on
you,
yours.
don't
You
sit
ain't
down
gonna
in
leave
these
it. I'm
churches
gonna
and
get there
keep
doing what I
sowing,
want to do.
keep sowing seeds to these pastors, and these pastors are telling you God is going to make you rich if you sow a seed, and they're getting rich and you poor. Do not be a fool for these people, man. Do not be a fool for these people. God doesn't need money to do miracles. You don't need money to receive your favor. You don't need money to receive your blessing. If you give God your heart, your mind, and your soul, your body, and you sit there righteously, those who wait on the Lord will surely be blessed. You don't need me. I wouldn't listen. Don't give me no money, because I am not the one who blesses people. It is Him, not me. So don't sit in these churches and be fool thinking that you need to pay for your favor. These pastors are paying for their favor, and you the one who are paying for it. Don't let yourself go like that. What did our brother say?
That's my mom's
Oh,
daughter.
that's your mom said. Okay, your mom.
Casting out demons was by fasting and prayer. The ability to heal deaf persons was by fasting and prayer.
Mm-hmm.
But also that requires power though. That comes from power. You know what I'm saying? Like you need power to cast out demons. You need power to heal deaf people. You ain't just doing that. You're not doing that on your own validity and your own strength.
I don't even call it power, Aaron. I'll call it the authority. You need the authority of God to cast out the
Yeah, I
demons.
mean, you know,
Because
it's synonymous.
when those false prophets went to go cast out demons. I think we talked about it on the last podcast, and he said, "John and Peter, we know, but who are you?"
Yeah.
Okay, the authority, that authority that comes with because remember when Christ went and spoke to who did Christ speak to, and he says, "I command you." Oh, the legion. Remember
Yeah,
he said we
legion.
call ourselves
Yeah.
the legion. Okay,
I think it's synonymous though. I mean,
you think
we
so?
can talk about that on the next pod
Next
if you want,
podcast.
because it was like I said, he gave me something with that too. You know what I'm saying? So we can go ahead and jump into that as well. Because I think most, just to give a little snippet of it, a little sample of it, most of us, when we ask that's what we're asking for, his power. We asking for the authority.
Yo, you breaking up?
You can hear me?
You're breaking up. You froze. Yeah, we can now. We can. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this thing weird. I don't even know
Don't worry,
how, because
man.
my modem's sitting right here, bro. I
Yeah,
don't know how
now I
this
can hear
thing
you.
is happening.
But you know how the devil works, man. You know, I remember we were talking about this the other day. We said we
Yeah,
blame the devil
yeah.
for
Look,
everything, right?
Sandra, you don't know, Sandra. You say bring scriptures. I got them, baby. I got all of them. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. I love it. Most of the times we be asking God for things, we be asking for his authority and his power anyway. But I got the scriptures. I got it for you. So we dig right into that. But that's what we really asking for. When I tell somebody I tell somebody, like me personally, I don't feel like I'm gonna say this and people gonna get mad, but it's cool. I think I'm funny looking for real. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's hard for me to get in this camera sometimes.
Ah,
You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I know I ain't the funniest looking person in the world. You know what I'm saying? I ain't ugly or nothing, but I know I ain't, the most handsome neither. So I just think I'm funny looking sometimes. That's just me, right?
Mhm.
So and me saying that, I'm just like, I just try to keep that even kill. You know what I'm saying? I guess that was, like God's way of telling me chill out. Because I was about to go somewhere with that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't really look at myself like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really boast on myself.
Mhm.
I don't try to beat on my chest. I don't think I'm like this all this and all that. But one thing I do have is I just have God, bro. I
Mhm.
just try like that's how I keep myself humble. You know what I'm saying? And
That's how the
I'm gonna
true
bring them scriptures, bro.
that's how truly the children of God should live anyway. You're supposed to be humble.
Yeah, yeah.
Humility. It's humility. You have to be humble, man. Because if you don't, they said life will give you a slice of that. What's a humble slice of that pie? You don't
Yes,
want that
all
pie.
day, every day.
Don't want that pie. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. This is Final Notice Podcast. We are a live interacting podcast. We shoot and we go live every month, Sundays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We stream live on YouTube and also on Facebook. So when you go on Facebook, when you go on YouTube, hit the subscription and also hit the notification button so that when we do go live, you can come on and then give us your input into the conversations that we do have. I know we are over by 16 minutes. I think we've been doing a terrible job the last few, but the spirit is moving, then we are grooving. So, with that
As
being
long
said,
as they
man,
here, we straight. You know what I'm saying? I guess if they ain't want to be here, they'd have left.
yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna take your time for
For
granted.
granted,
I
yeah,
appreciate everybody for
yeah,
tuning in
definitely.
and
There's a lot of
listening and
comments.
being
It's
a
a
part of
lot
these
of comments.
conversations. I'm
Mhm.
grateful for everybody that leaves comments. Even if you disagree, if you want some insight, perspective, anything, I tell you all the time, all I have for you is perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's just my perspective from my walk with Christ and the things that He have taught me. I'm not saying,
So look,
look, you see Toya, look at it, look.
I love when y'all.
See, that's God, that's the witness right there. We thank God for you. You know what I'm saying? We'll show everybody this.
Yeah, we try.
So,
We try. We
I
try.
appreciate it. I thank everybody for tuning in. And you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? It humbles me. Even y'all tuning in, listening to us speak to me, it humbles me
Mhm.
because I never want to use this platform or this gift that I have from God for vain glory, and I don't want to abuse it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to misuse it. So anything that I say to somebody, anything that I want to, what I'm saying, it humbles me because it keeps me in a certain place,
Yeah. And with that being said, what would be your final notice for this Wednesday podcast, man?
Um, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. It's weird because sometimes you give me ones like immediately. I don't really have one right now. But if I was to have one, I would guess I would just say just uh keep humbling yourselves. Keep trying to humble yourselves. Don't try to boast yourself up. If you in a certain situation, a certain position in life, allow God to give you wisdom, allow God to really give you direction. And the reason why I say that is because I said this on a pod before, I believe. Imagine if Joseph orchestrated his own prison break.
Hmm.
He never would have made it to the second highest office in the land. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
He would never made that. He would have orchestrated his own prison break and never would have been, like bring this good stuff to the storehouse. All because he was in a bad situation that he didn't even put himself in. All he did was open his mouth and use the gift that God gave him. Oftentimes when we go through things and we deal with things, we just doing what God asks us to do. But just sit in it sometimes. And if you know that you're in a situation that God didn't ordain and speak of, you know what I'm saying? Don't make excuses for your chains either. Be
Mhm.
free.
Hmm.
So that will be my final notice. Like just hear from God. Let him get direction. Most of us already know those type of situations where we don't belong. Just pray and ask God for the courage to get up and leave. You don't have to stay or ask God for the strength to leave. You don't have to stay in bondage either. But you know what I'm saying? But if he put you there and he allowed you to be there, then you need to humble yourself and allow that experience and that thing to take its work so that you can come out perfected and not needing anything, like the book of James said, chapter 1.
Well, that's deep. And mine for this week is that you pastors, preachers, I hope that the truth that I speak out of my mouth do offend you, so that way you can do right by the people.
Do right by the people.
I hope the words that come out, I hope the truth that comes out of my mouth, I hope it offends you, so that way the Spirit can convict you in order for you to change and do right by the people. Stop stealing and stop misleading the people of God. That's it.
Hey man, call somebody. If you're a pastor and you feel like you need to do that, and you're a leader and you need to do that, call one of us. We'll encourage you. I ain't gonna, you know, I'm a anybody that I know that's going through anything. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna build you up, and I'm gonna stand with you in love, and I'm gonna see if I can help you get it on the right path. You know what I'm saying?
No. These pastors, I've invited pastors to come on this show, and they all say, "Oh no, no." Let me tell you something. It's not that you busy. No. You know there's something here that you cannot withstand. You can't come here and preach that. You can't bring that nonsense over here to this podcast. You can't. This is not the pulpit for you to come and play games with. So if you come on, if you are a pastor, a true man of God, and we invite you to come on here, you should come on here. Why won't you? If you truly doing right by the people, if you truly spreading the gospel the way that it was meant to be spread, why won't you come on here? Why would I argue with you if you're doing what's right? But if you come on here and you are mistakenly doing things that you shouldn't be doing within the church, you will be exposed. So your best bet is to not come on here. Because I hope that the truth offends you so much that you will change and do right by the people. That is my prayer. And this podcast is not for us to bash. It's for us to learn. But most importantly, it's for you pastors to clean house. Stop playing, man. Stop. We live in 2023. People got cameras. You guys have been exposed, man. Y'all making the churches look bad, man. You pastors are terrible. I told you it's 85% of you who are trash, who belong on the disposable sanctuary of trash, and only 15% worldwide are doing the true work of God. And I thank God that they're doing that work of God. But you pastors who are selling the gospel, may the brimstones from heaven fall upon your head.
Yeah, man. Keep y'all leaders in prayer. Keep us in prayer. Let's pray that we never become those, like those people. You know what I'm saying? Like if I feel like I'm accountable to the viewers, I'm accountable to those who care about me and love me. I'm not a jerk that I can't not take correction. So yeah, I mean, if I'm doing something wrong, somebody feel like they want to talk to me about something, do it, please. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
All right, guys, tune in on Sunday. Sunday, we got something cooked up for you guys, man. 7 p.m. sharp. This is a final
shout out again to Paulina Caceres for making this wonderful shirt. You know what I'm saying? Go look her up on Facebook. She got a whole page. DM her or something. You know what I'm saying? We coming.
Yeah,
we
man.
Coming, baby.
Hey,
and Latoya, I got some stuff for you to do too. You know what I'm saying? I know you out there. I already hit you up. We got some work. I got some work.
Hey man, it's been a great conversation. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hey, hold on. Before we go, my boy, Satan is working. Remember, they don't care. They don't care. Just like Pharaoh. Right about it, man. Man, thank you for commenting, man. Hey, bro, we have to get you on, man. We definitely have to get you on one of these days, man. We definitely have to get you on, man. Let's get the people saved in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Let's get us all saved, man. Amen. All right, bro, man. So we'll catch up again. This is the Final Notice podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Please tune in on Sunday. We have something special for you guys, man. Listen, man. Hey, if you're a married man, if you're a married woman, well, we want the man first before we bring the women on.
There you go, mama. There we go.
If you're a married man,
get in line.
If you're a married man, we would love to have you. We have something special coming up for the men. So if you know somebody that has great insight about marriage, who can help the next person that's married to have a fruitful marriage, please invite them to follow us so that way we can get them on the podcast. But we'd love to have a panel of men for this conversation that are married to help our young generation of men who are being married now to be able to be better husbands and better fathers to and better men for the household as well.
Yeah, hey, look, and don't recommend them men that walk around and saying happy wife, happy life. I don't want to talk to them. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to talk to them.
Y'all don't want to talk to them now?
I know a lot of people don't have no happy wife, man. And at the same time, you know what I'm saying, being a husband, you know, ain't gonna be happy all the time anyway.
Hey, man. Trust me.
Said,
a lot of them keep a bottle in the car, man. They take a shot before they come in the house, man. I know a couple of them, man. Aaron. They stop by the liquor store right before they get to the house. They pull up in the parking lot. They open the bottle. Yeah, I know she's gonna be here tripping me out.
They be the same men that just take all their money and just put it on the table.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Hey, all the bills. I don't want to talk to you. All
right, man. We'll tap in, man. Hey, man, go hit that subscribe button. Tell somebody that is looking for a place where we can all learn and grow from each other, man. Finding Orders podcast, man. This is a live interacting podcast, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
All right, y'all take it easy. Love y'all. Thank you.
Yep.